Hello viewers. Let us discuss today the challenges to women's representation in local self-government in India. Students, the issue of political empowerment of women has gathered global attention since the past few decades. Since the passage of the Convention on the Political Rights of Women in 1952 by the United Nations, a number of conferences have been held globally in order to recognize women's greater role in decision-making across all levels of governmental powers. In fact, the Beijing conference held in 1995 focused on the fact that women's equal representation in decision-making is not just a democratic endeavor, but is also a recognition of the ability of women to take part in decision-making across various levels. Most importantly, in the Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals, SDG 2030, specifically 5.5.1b focuses on women's representation in local governance. This is considered to be a landmark in terms of recognizing women's ability in taking decisions at the local level governance. Let's come back to India. The enactment of the 1992 Constitution Amendment Act, which provided constitutional recognition to Panchayati Raj institutions in the country, is considered to be a landmark so far as women's representation is considered. The Act of 1992 provided for 1/3 reservation of seats for women across all Panchayati Raj institutions. The Act also provided for reservation of seats for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. The 1992 amendment is believed to have transformed the entire system of Panchayati Raj governance in the country. Not just 1/3 of reservation for women in Panchayati Raj institutions, today as many as 20 states such as Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Orissa, Punjab, Rajasthan, and a number of others have increased reservation for women in the Panchayati Raj institutions to 50%. Many states such as Karnataka has more than 50% women representatives in the Panchayati Raj institutions, which indicates that women are now winning in seats reserved for them as well as seats which are unreserved, which shows the growing power of women in decision making at the local level. Efforts are on to increase the reservation from 1/3 to half in all Panchayati Raj institutions across India. There are approximately 13.45 lakh elected women representatives in Panchayati Raj institutions who constitute 46.14% of the total elected representatives in Panchayati Raj institutions. Now, we need to understand that this inclusion of women in Panchayati Raj institutions is considered to be a major dimension not only for women's empowerment but also for political leadership in the country. Now let us try to take a look into the condition of women's participation post 1993. In all the Panchayati Raj elections which has occurred after 1993, it has become mandatory for women to contest in seats which are reserved for them. Since holding regular elections in panchayats and municipal bodies have become mandatory, it has also become a constitutional obligation for many states to ensure that reserved seats for women go to women only. Some of the states have also given a higher quota than the mandatory requirement of 33.3% reservation. For example, in Karnataka specifically, the quota for women is 43.6%. In Bengal, it is 35%. In the 1993 Panchayat elections, it was observed that out of the 21,489 seats reserved for women, 24.3% were reserved for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes women, which also means not only women for general category are being elected, but women from scheduled caste and scheduled tribes are also getting an opportunity to participate in rural local governance in the country. This is not to mean that women cannot contest elections from unreserved positions. Women in India can also contest both from reserved seats as well as from unreserved seats. So far as the 73rd Constitution Amendment Act is considered, it is highly appreciated in terms of bringing more and more women into the participatory democratic process. However, there is also a raging debate going on in the various academic circles whether women at the grassroots level have really benefited from this one-third reservation or not. Or are they just providing lip service in this entire institution of Panchayati Raj governance by just getting themselves visible in Panchayati Raj institutions without managing to make much get through in the entire process? There are optimists who feel that in the long run, women would be game changers in Panchayati Raj institutions. However, pessimists believe that there are a lot of challenges which can prove to be a major hurdle in the process of women-led development in the country. Let us now try to understand some of the major challenges faced by elected women representatives in the various Panchayati Raj institutions. The first and the most important challenge that women faced is patriarchy. Except Northeast India, where we have a matriarchal or matrilineal societal system, rest of India continues to suffer from patriarchal mindsets. Many elected women's representatives continue to work as a rubber stamp for their family members as well as proxies of male elites in the villages. This is to imply that though women are elected from reserved seats, the actual positioning of women is still in the rural household. They do not get a chance to provide a voice in the public space within the Panchayati Raj decision making. The male co-workers many a time show insensitivity and refuse to cooperate. Not to forget the fact that the burden of household responsibilities, the parda system in some villages, and domestic violence negatively affect their participation in rural governance. Now, this entire system of women being inconvenienced, even though they are democratically elected, stems from two perspectives: bureaucratic political resistance and patriarchal resistance. Now, both the bureaucratic political resistance and the patriarchal resistance stem from the same fact of males dominating women in the process of decision making. The second important challenge that women face is the age-old caste system. Hierarchical caste system in rural India make it difficult for women, especially women belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, to function independently and effectively. In many parts of North India, Khaf panchayats are very, very popular and they dominate Panchayati Raj governance there. In areas which are dominated by parallel Khap panchayats, women are not allowed to function independently. Moreover, women are also not allowed to participate freely and openly in Gram Sabha meetings. The third important challenge that women elected representatives face is a lack of cooperation from line or sectoral department. Now, it is important to understand that not just getting elected is important. It is important and significant for women to work on behalf of the panchayat system as well as bring about landmark changes in rural governance. However, non-cooperation from the various sectors of the government departments serve as a big impediment for women representatives. Elected women representatives, particularly the first-timers, find it very difficult to deal with officials of block or district administration because they do not know the procedures of getting the work done. Moreover, bureaucratic apathy and corruption is another important hurdle in the way of women's representatives doing work sincerely and democratically. People's expectation to deliver, coupled with non-cooperation of administration, frustrate these women representatives so much that many a times they are unwilling to contest for the next term. Another very important challenge that they face are inadequate capacities. Majority of women's representatives enter into public life for the first time and they do not have any knowledge or wherewithal to handle affairs of panchayats. Training programs conducted by government and other agencies are unable to cover all elected representatives at one point of time. A large number of ward members, especially women, do not get an opportunity to attend any training in their entire 5-year term. At times, they are also not allowed by their family members to travel and stay along during these residential trainings. Lack of education or illiteracy. This puts a great constraint on these women representatives who do not have knowledge of the documents that they are signing, who do not have knowledge about how to move about with the procedural requirements of Panchayati Raj governance, so much so that many women fail to read the contracts and sign them consciously. That is the reason why many states such as Rajasthan and Haryana have brought educated women and girls to panchayats who are learning fast and are able to function effectively. Rotation of terms is also another challenge faced by women representatives. Policy of reservation for only one term and rotation of reserved seats and posts of chairperson also hinders consolidation of leadership qualities among elected women representatives, as it takes time for these women to learn the skills of leadership, and by the time they learn the art of leadership and decision making, their term comes to an end and the seat in the next election becomes an unreserved one. Therefore, it is believed that if the system of reservation of a particular seat for 2 terms is made mandatory, then it would help women representatives to consolidate position, learn and ensure they are able to inculcate and incorporate their training programs into the art of decision making. So far, only 5 states, namely Chhattisgarh, Kerala, Himachal Pradesh, Orissa and Karnataka have already made provisions for 2-term reservation of seats and offices of chairpersons. In fact, it has been also observed that the main reason behind their not winning in Panchayati Raj institutions is de-reservation of seats and offices of chairpersons. Another very important hurdle and challenge faced by women representatives at the Panchayati Raj institution is encroachment and non-payment of taxes and fees. Elected representatives in general and women in particular face resistance from the community if they want to impose any kind of taxes on fees on water and other land-related properties. Many a times they are subjected to violence from powerful elements of the society. Many rural households do not want to pay taxes and fees on time while expect panchayats to deliver public services on time. More so when these taxes and fees are imposed by women pradhans, there is even more resistance to implement such programs. Now, insistence on the part of elected women's representatives to carry on the task of fee and tax collection has led to violent protests in many villages in the country. Another important challenge is inadequate women panchayat functionaries. Now, it has been observed that women representatives are more comfortable with women functionaries, whether it is at the block level or the district level. However, there are an inadequate number of women functionaries in terms of block development officers or district magistrates, and which also serve as an impediment to elected women being able to deliver promises or being able to articulate their grievances before male counterparts in the blocks, tehsils and the districts. Now, it has been observed that patriarchal bureaucratic attitude have imposed a great impediment in the implementation of major developmental plans and programs in the villages. Another very important challenge is unfamiliarity with procedures and records within the Panchayati Raj offices. Many of the women elected for the first time are unfamiliar with the procedures of Panchayat working, and hence there may be a number of slip-ups here and there. There are cases where women office bearers have been removed after no confidence motions because of technical acts of omission and commission which do not constitute misconduct or misdemeanor. Examples are failure to put up certain papers before the panchayat, not calling meetings regularly, not spending the full budgeted amount within the deadline, not giving accounts properly, not implementing the resolutions passed by the panchayats. These procedural formalities, which many a times are undermined at the Panchayati Raj decision making, also serve as an impediment to effective women governance at the local level. However, we need to understand that these lapses can occur because of the inexperience of women's representatives, and they cannot be considered to be grave injustices. However, many a times women pradhans have been removed from office for these minor slips. Now, we need to understand that the challenges that we have just discussed are certain subjective challenges and certain objective challenges. Now, these subjective factors that militate against effective functioning of elected women relate to the private sphere of the woman's life. Now, we need to understand that the public women representative also has a personal role to play so far as the domestic sphere is concerned. This is more related to the gendered nature of household work in the domestic sphere. The burden of household work and familial responsibilities is almost always on the woman in the rural areas. The gender-based division of labor, which draws a distinction between men's work and women's work, does not encourage men to partake in domestic household work, and these women pradhans are almost under a double burden of shouldering both household responsibilities, taking care of the elderly and the children, as well as simultaneously taking care of work related to Gram Panchayat functioning. let us quickly sum up what we have studied from these challenges and what are the recommendations that can be offered. To sum up, reservation for women in Panchayati Raj institutions provided by the 73rd Constitution Amendment Act has increased the empowerment of women in terms of more increased participation of women in the democratic processes. Women's leadership in panchayats, which started with a shaky beginning, has definite signals of getting well established and well recognized. However, elected women's representatives have still not been able to realize their full potential as they face a number of challenges and hurdles in their daily functioning. The Government of India and many state governments are making concerted efforts to strengthen women's representatives by undertaking various initiatives related to capacity building, providing networks, and ensuring women are given the much needed support. Much more is desired to be done in order to strengthen the role of women in Panchayati Raj institutions. Now, while reserved seats have led to increased participation in local government structures, they are not alone helpful to bring in elected women's representatives to carry out their roles and the constitutional mandate. Complementary capacity development is of utmost necessary at this juncture of time to ensure that women across all Panchayati Raj institutions are able to deliver to their fullest potential. There are forums which are coming up which provide for open dialogue between Panchayati Raj elected women's representatives and common women, and there is a forum for open development and discussion to ensure that women are given the necessary expertise to become game changers in the Panchayati Raj institutions. A last line in conclusion. For elected women to become successful, it is important to ensure that the male-dominated domain in rural self-government is defeated by more and more women's representatives coming to the forefront. We need to ensure that all the stakeholders in Panchayati Raj institutions, the Gram Sabha, the government, the various implementing agencies and community development forums should come forward to provide women the much needed support to ensure that they emerge as game changers in democratic decision making at the local level. Thank you.